That man and his manga.
It's manga haul time! Join me as we look at the manga and light novels that I've picked up this month. Let's go! But before we get into all of that, if you're new to the channel and love all things manga and collecting, from figures to anime and light novels, do me a favour and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on new weekly videos. First up, I have picked up the almighty Interspecies Reviewers Volume 5. Now, this is one where I've picked it up a few times. There's not really much I can kind of see about this which I haven't already. This is about a bunch of guys who have sex with monster girls and then review them. Yeah, it's a weird little title, but you know, if you like your ecchi, if you like your Monster Girl series, this is going to be number one on your list, at least to try out and read. It's pretty infamous in terms of its anime, but you know, the manga is a lot of fun too. Also, if you're into reading, and hey, if you're on this channel, you probably are, go check out the light novel for Interspecies Reviewers. It does everything it says on this tin, but goes that little step further. That's right. So, yeah, I mean, it's about having sex with monster girls, so it's going to be high on your ecchi side, more or less bordering into full-blown hentai, but you know, it kind of doesn't go all the way there. It has a lot of inventive stuff. This one has a lot of stuff regarding the spider species, so you know, that's going to be a lot of fun in terms of what it gets putting out. One of the things I do like about this, it is quite inventive in terms of how it pulls out all of the whole, you know, ecchi kind of thing, but yeah, worth checking out. Next up is another manga that I've spoke about quite a bit, but it's one that I don't think many people have checked out, especially when I see a lot of people actually buy in Prison School. And this is Raw Hero. Now, this is Volume 5. I believe Volume 6 or Volume 7 might be the very last one. And you can kind of see from this, it is actually starting to wrap itself up. And honestly, I have a lot of fun with this one. A young man gets a job as a villain, a supervillain, a female supervillain. So yeah, they're cross-dressing. Adding that a romantic side plot and over-the-top ridiculous superhero shenanigans, and you're going to have a fun time. If you like Prison School, you need to check this one out because it's got all of the usual trappings that Prison School did, except maybe on, I wouldn't say a mature level, but it's a little bit different. It's got a lot of the same trappings, but it's got a lot of little, I think it goes a little bit further in terms of how ridiculous it kind of goes. And, you know, that's a lot of fun. One of the things I loved about Prison School was how ridiculous it was. So, Raw Hero doing that and being a fun series, I always like it. It's always a fun one. We start our descent into light novels, and the first one is Combatants Will Be Dispatched Volume 6. Now, if you like Conor Super, you're probably wanting to go check this one out at some point. It's a lot of fun, and again, it's very similar to Conor Super in terms of it's the horrible people being horrible to each other. This one goes a little bit further, I feel, because the only reason I kind of see that is because it kind of has all of that, the supervillains again. Because the villains, it kind of means that a lot of the horrible stuff, they kind of just like get away with it a little bit more. I don't know, it's one of those ones where sometimes it feels like it's really good, but sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know, this is a little bit too mean. But yeah, I really like a lot of the side characters in this one. It keeps introducing more and more of them, but it's starting to develop them rather well. Now, from what I understand, this is the last volume that is released, even in Japan. Because the author went on, I believe they went on and finished Conor Super, and I think they went on to the Conor Super sequel before going back to this. I think this is kind of like their side project. So, hey, there's not much more to at least go for it. It kind of stops in the middle of building up to something else, but, you know, it's a decent enough time every time I read it, so it might be worth you guys checking it out. The next one we have is a 2-for-1, and I picked up Volumes 2 and Volume 3 of Reign of the Seven Spellblades. Now, this is one that I read a few months ago, and I did recommend it, and, you know, I'm not going to lie, I do want to cover this on a bigger video sometime. But Reign of the Seven Spellblades is basically your not Harry Potter series. It's Harry Potter in terms of, well, they go to magic school. However, instead of just being, well, Harry Potter, we have knights and samurai, and you know what? This is actually Harry Potter with a feeling of danger. Now, one of the things I felt about Harry Potter is that it very much felt like a children's story. You kind of felt that everything was just going to be hunky-dory by the end. And while it does have a few dark elements, this one takes things up a notch. There's actual danger in the school, it feels like. And, you know, it answers a lot of questions that I kind of had about Harry Potter as to why are these children getting sent off to magic school and potentially get injured. But if you like Harry Potter and you want a light novel that goes beyond Harry Potter, I would really recommend this. It does what Harry Potter does not, is maybe a way to call it, but you know, it's worth your time. I would say it's worth checking out because it is a lot of fun. I was really excited. Now, Volume 2 and Volume 3 does kind of have one overarching story, so I would recommend picking them both up as one and binging them once after each other because, yeah, I mean, I was hooked with this one. I was really hooked. Definitely go check it out if you like light novels and if you like Harry Potter and you want a bit of a darker fantasy. The twist at the end of Volume 1 will have you hooked. The next title we're going to talk about is one that a lot of people in the light novel community have really hyped up as of late, and that is Spy Classroom. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually read Spy Classroom yet. It turned up a few days ago and I just started another series because, yes, that always happens to me. I start another series or I start another volume, then the things I'm waiting for start coming through the letterbox. But hey, so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. I don't know much about it. Like I said, it was one that as soon as it announced, the light novel community was just like, yes, get in on this. So I'm really looking forward to checking it out. And I'm sure once I read it, I will tell you lovely folk on how much it is. I'm kind of expecting Spies, only Assassination Classroom. Assassination Classroom only with spies even? I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's really focusing on a lot of best girls. So, yeah, I'm really excited to check this one out. Have you guys read it yet? Let me know what you guys think because, like I said, as soon as I mentioned I was picking this up, a lot of people are really hyped that. It's like, yeah, it's like, I'm really excited to check it out. Soon though. Soon. Another series that I picked up and I really enjoyed Volume 1 of, and again, it's another one that I will probably do a separate video on, and that is Uncle from Another World. Now, again, this is another one that is just absolutely hilarious. This is about a man who is taken from our world, left for 17 years, then comes back. And rather than being, oh yeah, I loved my isekai adventure, and he was just like, oh yeah, it was horrible, everybody was horrible to us. But we're starting to see a lot of things where it's just kind of like, well, he's just an idiot. And it turns out that he has a huge following over in this other world. All of the girls really like him, but everyone kind of treat him as, oh yeah, like a goblin, and he was kind of just like, yeah, I'm a goblin, I'm a horrible person. I really liked it. It's one of those ones where I just, every time, nearly every chapter, I was just sat there just like, oh no. Oh no, because it's one of these ones where all these misunderstandings, but it turns out he was actually genuinely quite popular, but he never saw it, and obviously that chance is now gone. I'm really hoping there will be some kind of positive resolution to all of this, but as it is absolutely hilarious. If you are a little bit older and you want a fantasy isekai title, but you're sick of the usual trappings with isekai, I would recommend checking this one out. It's endorsed by Ichiro Oda. He really enjoyed it as well, so hey, if Ichiro Oda likes it, you probably will too. Next up is one where I read Volume 1 and I wasn't quite sure on what to feel about it. But I gave Volume 2 a chance, and you know what? I loved it. I absolutely loved my time with Volume 2. Otaku Elf was incredibly interesting. It's one of those ones where when I first looked at it, I was just like, oh, this is an elf who doesn't really like to go out, but she's got a switch. And I was just like, oh, well, this is going to be like the Umaru-chan, like, next thing for Umaru-chan perhaps. And I did read it after the last volume of Umaru-chan, so I kind of was going into it a little bit different. What we have here is an otaku story with the basis to learn a lot about Shrine Maiden, Shrine Miko's, not Elite Miko, but yeah, it's kind of all these interesting facts wrapped up in a nice otaku story. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I wouldn't even call it Otaku Elf if I name it. It's kind of the whole otaku thing is just kind of like a little weird just to go, oh yeah, how all of this information about the history of this part of this thing we're talking about this week. I like it. I really like this series now. And because I was aware of this going into Volume 2, I enjoyed it for what it was, rather than just kind of being, oh yeah, this isn't what I kind of expected it to be. Really fun series. Really recommend checking it out. Next up, we have my favourite signing. At least I keep saying it's my favourite. So it's one of my favourite signings. And finally, after what feels like a long time, Laid Back Camp Volume 10. Now, I'm not going to lie, this one and the next series I'm going to be talking about actually just dropped through the post today, so I haven't had a chance to read it. But hey, it's Laid Back Camp, and you know, I love me some good, cute girls doing relaxing, cute things. This is just the perfect series if you're just feeling a bit stressed out. So comfy. So comfy. I can't wait to read it. But again, I think it's what I want to cover again, maybe at a later date. I feel like I need to talk about this one a little bit more because I love this series so much. It's one of my favourites. The next series is, again, this one turned up today, and it's another Volume 10. That is Do You Love Your Mom and a 2-Hit Multi-Target Attacks Volume 10. Again, this is another one. I love this series. It's a bit cringeworthy at times. It's a little bit over the top at times. But this series has such a great idea behind it. There's a lot of insane, ridiculous things that just don't work in other isekais, but works in this one. I would really recommend it if you like light novels and you want an isekai or you want an online adventure that's a little bit different and got plenty of ecchi. Next up is another one which I haven't read yet, but I will be reading very soon, and of course I will let you guys know, maybe in a reading log or something like that, unless I love it. This is one that the movie is going to be coming out next month, so as soon as I knew the movie was coming out, I was kind of like, oh, I feel I want to read the manga first. And I picked up Pompo the Cinephile. Now, this one looks to be about making movies, and, you know, it's not something that I kind of really see much in manga, about the whole Hollywood kind of side of things. In fact, it's not really something I see much in the UK. But I'm interested to see how this turns out. A lot of people were really excited when the anime movie got announced for Scotland Loves Anime next month. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. Like I said, I haven't read it, but I'll read it soon. My ambition is to catch up on my backlog, so I will be talking more and more about some of these manga. Can't wait. The next one is a series where I was reading it quite some time ago. In fact, it was one of the very first series that I did a review for. And it's actually just getting a season 3 announced. And a movie. That's right, I recently picked up Teasing Master Takagisan Volume 3. I picked up Volume 4 about 2 or 3 months ago, but couldn't find Volume 3 anywhere. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's really good. It's so cute. I see a lot of people liking this series to like Uzaki-chan or what's that other one about picking on girls that had a series last season. And I don't know, I mean this has got the whole teasing thing, but I think this one's a lot cuter than Uzaki-chan. I don't know, I just feel it's more pure. They're both the same, like the same age. They feel like kids picking on each other. Even though I think they're supposed to be a little bit older than they actually look, it's just one of those ones where it's just so adorable. There's pretty much nothing offensive about it. I would recommend it if you want to have a teasing anime or teasing manga that is a lot of fun. I'd recommend checking this one. The next one is one that I think as soon as light novels get mentioned, this one always gets brought up. And it's one that a few people who aren't into light novels I've noticed are picking up as well. And that is Classroom of the Elite. Now, I did read Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Classroom of the Elite digitally about a year ago, maybe coming up to 2 years ago. And I got some space for some more light novels and some more manga, and I thought, you know what, I fancy picking this one up. So I actually managed to find Volume 3, which is the next one technically for me, and Volume 1 for pretty cheap. I can't find Volume 2 or Volume 4 anywhere, however. So, so this is an interesting one. So I have read this one previously, and it was okay. I kind of couldn't think of much to talk about it, but it's one that I do appreciate that a lot of people are enjoying, so I want to give it another chance. I want to see and try and understand what people love about this one. I like Volume 1. Volume 2 I didn't really enjoy as much, but then the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to try and get Volume 2, reread 1 and 2, then go on to 3. So yeah, for those who want a Classroom of the Elite video, it's probably in progress. I'm probably going to try and get the first 6 or so volumes read and then do a video on it. So just enough so I can kind of form a proper opinion, because this was one where I was just kind of, yeah, it was fine, but I can't really talk about it. There's nothing really for me to see about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out a little bit more and seeing if I still enjoy it. The next one we've got is Volume 2 of another series that I absolutely adored at the beginning of the year when I read it. And it was one that I hyped up as a must-read for 2021. And that is The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. This is just another one where it's just so relaxing, it's so cute. And I really like that kind of thing. It's one of those ones, as I'm getting older, I'm appreciating a lot of these relaxing series about relaxing people, which is why I kind of like these titles such as The Angel Next Door, Laid Back Camp, Teasing Master Takagisan, Yotsuba, all of them kind of ones where it's just like, oh, there's a slight thrill, but yeah, everything's going to be pretty much hunky-dory by the end of it. And not in the Harry Potter kind of hunky-dory, just kind of just like, yeah, this is just a really nice story about nice people. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. This one and Spy Classroom both turned up on the same day, so yeah, I'm not sure which one to read first. I think I'm going to go with Spy Classroom since it's a brand new series, and yeah, there's a little bit more of a wait for the next volume. Next up is another title that I kind of fallen a little bit behind on, and one that I believe has 1 or 2 volumes to go. It is the spin-off to a series that just recently ended, or at least they just recently released the final volume, and it was one I got at a nice little bargain. That is Cells at Work Code Black Volume 7. Now, Cells at Work is one of those series that I don't see many people talking about. It's a lot of fun. It is a really fun shonen, and obviously Cells at Work Code Black is the seinen version of it, of an adult inside an adult body, and it made me feel really bad for not keeping my body great. Yeah, I recommend checking this one out if you like Cells at Work and you want something a little bit darker. It's a lot of fun, and yeah, it's Cells at Work. Next up, we have another Conor Super spin-off, and that is Conor Super, An Explosion on This Wonderful World, Deadbeat Busters. So Volume 2 of the spin-off to the Mega Man spin-off. And as a spin-off goes, this one's a lot of fun. Interestingly enough, this is a lot of short stories focusing on Mega Man, Union, and a few other characters who don't appear until, well, what could be Season 3 and Season 4 of the anime. But yeah, this is quite nice. It's kind of what I wanted from Conor Super. As the series has kind of gone on, each main volume is kind of having like more higher stakes, and it's more of a focused plot. Whereas this is just a bunch of goofy short stories revolving on a lot of the side characters, and I appreciated that. I really did enjoy it. I think this is the last of the spin-off stories that's to be released. So hopefully we actually will get either the Dust or the Veneer spin-offs very shortly, because I want more Conor Super. Every time I pick this up, it's a fun treat. It's one of my favourite light novels. So yeah, I just love it. Next up is another one. Recently, I think last month it was, I picked up a Haruhi novel quite cheap. I realised that there was another one in between it. So yep, I picked up The Rampage of Haruhis Rampage. And this one is one that I think I'm going to try and start and catch up on. I think I've got about 3 or 4 volumes I've got to read of this, and that's because I'm just buying 1 volume a month and just kind of just like, I'll read it sometime, but then I'm not sitting down to read stuff. So yeah, I bought a lot of light novels, so it's kind of like, yep, I'm gonna have to sit down and read them. Haruhi is a fantastic series. I really enjoyed the first 3 volumes, so I can't wait to see how this one turns out. Next up is another series which I, again, much like teasing Master Takagisan, I started reading quite some years ago. And for whatever reason, I just didn't pick up any further volumes. I really enjoyed volume 1, so I think it's about time I went and returned to Skullface bookseller Honda-san. Now this is the shop series. This is, if you've ever worked in a shop, you will love this series because it focuses on this guy who works in a bookshop and all of the trappings, all of the like the problem customers, all of the weird requests you get, and of course with it being a bookseller, it kind of has all of that whole thing. If you like manga, you're gonna enjoy this because they refer to Berserk and other series. But you know, I really enjoyed volume 1 and I can't wait to sink my teeth into the rest of it. I even picked up 1 of the volumes. I think there's only 4 volumes to the whole thing, so I'm going to try and very slowly drip my way through this. I think again, next month is quite quiet in terms of manga and light novels, so that's going to be my month to try and catch up on things. I just recently got addicted to Final Fantasy XIV. Next up, we have a light novel that I've been really excited to see released by G Novel Club, and I know the actual digital version came out about 2 or 3 years ago now, but I've been really excited because this was actually one of the very first anime I watched, and that is Slayers, otherwise known as The Slayers. And this is volumes 1 to 3. J Novel Club tend to kind of release a lot of their older titles, all the titles that they rescued as like 3-in-1 titles, and you know what? I love that aspect. I love that idea. And honestly, I'm really excited to get into this because it looks quite easy to read. I mean, there's only, there's about 400 pages for 3 volumes. So yeah, I'm going to try and get through this. Because I've just realised I've got a lot of light novels in this pile that I haven't read. So yeah, it's getting quite scary now. But yeah, looking forward to reading this. It just looks so nice. Even if I don't read it, it looks nice on the shelf. I will read it. Don't you worry. I will read my stuff eventually, someday, when I've got time. Now, the last series I'm going to talk about is another one, much like Classroom of the Elite, where I started reading this digitally. And it's one that I don't see many people talking about, the light novel. In fact, it actually was my most underrated light novel when I did the video last year. And that title is Torture Princess. This series, if you want a light novel that is more like Berserk, because we all know you love Berserk, this title should be on your must-read list. It is dark. It is incredibly dark. It is so dark to the point that I genuinely do not think I can get away with talking about this in an individual video, which is a shame because I love it. I've started rereading, this is the title, Spy Classroom and all that came. I started rereading this a few days ago and I fell in love with it again. It was one where I was kind of like, I bought I think the first 4 volumes digitally, and for some reason I just kind of didn't fancy reading them digitally. I love digital manga, I love digital light novels, but I just couldn't fancy reading this. All of a sudden I was just like, you know what, got some space, I'm going to start buying this, and it's a nice one to kind of work through back when I had like 2 light novels on my to read list, and I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. It is such a dark series. It's so well written as well. I love this series so much and I can't wait for more, to the point that I'm halfway through volume 1 and I'm tempted to do the unthinkable, the thing I hate seeing people do, buying every single volume and just binging it. But I'm not until I'm at least on volume 2, and I've at least read some of these volumes. But yeah, if you want a recommendation, check this one out, because you'll have a good time with it. Wow, that was certainly a video. So if you like that, if you like this video about my manga haul, go check out some of my other videos around here. That's right, it'll be here. And if you did enjoy it, leave a like and consider subscribing. I want to know from you guys what you've been reading this month. Let me know. See you over there.